All right, we'll get started. Welcome to the City of Troy Board of Park Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, October 7th. Abby, please call the roll.
Mr. Emmerich,
Here.
Mr. Harrelson,
Here.
Mrs. Anderson.
Here.
All members are present.
Awesome. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from our September 2nd meeting. We should all have those minutes. Is there any additions, deletions, or subtractions to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. Right, moving on to reports. Mr. Drake, good afternoon.
Don't have a lot to add to my report. As you can see in the items of interest, September was an extremely busy month for us. A huge thank you to our crews. Done a fantastic job just not only finishing up some projects that we kind of had on the back burner that we were trying to get to. They were able to complete those, but we were kind of on the time crunch knowing that cold weather inevitably, even though it may not seem like it, is on its way. And we were able to get most of those projects wrapped up before this rain hit. So you will notice Duke Park Playground, we tried to get the word out as much as we could on social media and get the word out that the playground has been removed. It seems a little bit early, knowing that we're still waiting on word on the Duke Foundation grant that we won't know until the end of this month as to the outcome of that. But also knowing that there was a lot of concrete that had to come out, a lot of big equipment, took a lot of heavy equipment, so I wanted to get that done ahead of losing ground conditions to be able to.
Could you elaborate on that grant that we received?
Yeah, so we received a third of what we'd asked for on the Upper Valley Premier Health grant. So we've gone for additional grant funding through the Robinson, or the Duke Foundation, I'm sorry, and just waiting to hear the award date. I think is the end of this month. We expect to hear something.
And I guess the result of that grant is what's going to happen
Yeah,
to that
so
playground?
that will determine whether or not, it was a $200,000 grant that will determine whether or not we can put in turf safety surfacing rather than using the traditional wood fiber mulch.
So, Jeremy, if in full disclosure, I sit on the board of the Duke Foundation, so I'm not going to disclose anything that I may or may not know about it. But from simply a park commissioner standpoint, I don't buy that we can't find the funding in the city to do what we want to do with that.
Okay.
If the funding doesn't come back to pay for it, regardless of whatever nature or structure it is, I mean, I just can't imagine that we can't
So what
make our
happens there?
premier largest park take care of this instead of putting mulch down just over $100,000.
So what has happened, or the way that this kind of came about, was we, in our budget meeting for 2025, we had put in the $250,000 to purchase the playground equipment with the understanding that, that would just get mulch rather than the safety surfacing. Safety surfacing almost doubled the cost of the project. So, we went to our budget meeting last year, a year ago at this time, asking for the $250,000 instead of $450,000 that would have taken. So once that budget's set for us on our side, that's what we're held to. That's where the quotes had came back, and then we put it out for bid in the springtime of this year, and it came back under the $250,000, and that's what we went for. Ordered the equipment. It came in, and then after the fact, we started thinking, well, and getting word that with the close proximity to,
Community Park, Riverside.
So just, maybe we go ahead and try for grant funding and see where we're at, and if that's a possibility, we'll do that. So we've kind of put the project on hold, waiting to hear. One way or another, we've got to move forward with, as soon as we know, the outcome of that grant, we've pretty much got to move forward with whichever way we go. Landscape Structures, the company that was purchased through, the playground was purchased through, we've had delivery since June. It's sitting in our kind of impound lot at Duke Park by our barn, and they are more than ready to go on install. And we're kind of now getting into where we're hoping that the weather will hold out and they can get started in November. But then we're unfortunately kind of going to be.
And I don't
another
want to
major
butcher, I don't want
project.
to butcher the certifications here, but it's ADA accessible now, but this would make it 100% ADA compliant?
Correct, so it's ADA compliant, not, and that's the lowest ADA rating. So wood fiber mulch is still ADA compliant. The highest level is ADA accessible, where it's 100% accessible from going from a hard surface like a concrete sidewalk or a paved sidewalk onto a safety surfacing like turf or
Sure.
rubber, which not many people or places are going to rubber now. So that would get us to the very highest level of 100% ADA accessible.
So if we don't have that in the budget, is that something that we as park commissioners need to go to city council for an appropriation to take care of that?
That would
I mean,
have
I'm just not giving up on this.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna just sit here and accept that we're gonna have this brand new piece of equipment when we're trying to improve the parks and make them ADA accessible, not just compliant. And that we're just gonna take this one chance in 25 years to fix this and not do it correctly.
Yeah, so that would definitely have to go through our service and safety director and then ultimately through council for a appropriation here.
Okay, well then,
Yeah.
I think we as park commissioners should, and this is up for debate because this is a public meeting and here we are debating it. I think we should jointly go to make sure that we get this done correctly in whichever way it is. If we do not get sufficient grant funding, I think we need to go to Patrick and to city council and attempt to get the funds to do this correctly. We're in the middle of this master plan. Parks is this giant,
Yeah.
topic of conversation. I don't accept that we're just going to put mulch again and do
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah, we started this conversation, back in June when we actually reviewed the different options we had for the playground. That's when we kind of went over the revised or different types of ADA compliance, and that's when it
Yeah.
kind of came about. So,
Yeah.
listen, I'm 100% supportive. Obviously, I've kind of pushed it. I've encouraged the grant process to go through. We have a meeting next week with Patrick to discuss budgeting numbers as well. I know there's a lot of people on city council that will support it as well. So I'm 100% supportive of it. I don't necessarily know what the next step is, I guess,
Yeah.
as we kind of wait for some of these answers. But I think it's something that clearly people have reached out and expressed interest in. And to your point, hey, it's the first time we're taking our largest park and making an adjustment in 20-some years. Let's do it right kind of thing.
Well, in the same vein, as we have this master plan process unfolding, and I've made this comment to Jeremy on the side, I don't want to see decisions be made about replacing things in community park before it comes to the park commissioners for design choices, size and scope choices.
Yeah.
Because that is going to be another opportunity to make a transformational change, which is
Yeah.
what we've been being asked to do. And I'm not criticizing Jeremy by any means on this.
Sure.
I'm simply saying that we are no longer in the world of just replacing like for like in these parks with equipment like we've been doing for 25, 30 years, which has been the accepted standard of capital improvements. But now we've crossed this threshold into our parks or people are asking for improvements, not just replacements. And so when I look at what's the company that did Duke?
Landscape structures.
Right,
Yeah.
what they have
Yeah.
in just on their website for similar wooded, shaded areas like ours, and what you can build into that space in community park, it should be vastly different than what it is, because some of those pieces are 30.
Yeah, they're pushing 30 years.
30 years old.
Yeah, yep.
So I just want to make sure that we take sufficient time to plan that out, because that should be even bigger than this Duke Park one.
In respect to community, that discussion happens on Monday, which we've submitted budget numbers as part of our three-year plan for that. So that has been, that's when that discussion essentially starts, basically, is.
Yeah, so
is our Monday
there is
discussion.
a line item in our 2026 budget for community park, and that discussion will happen Monday at our budget meeting. But that's just a very preliminary
Yeah,
number
that's it.
on, just to get a budget placeholder. And then from there,
We'll get the
you know,
quotes.
right.
we'll get
we
the-
can get
go from
several
there in the
different
process.
layouts that kind of match what the board is
Yeah.
wanting, and then, and that would fall within that.
Yeah, and I think the discussion was with community, we were putting a little more into it than what we had
Yeah.
originally budgeted to do something as kind of you outlined there.
Yeah.
As far as a little more transformational, I guess would say, or a little more of a,
Yeah,
separator.
I know we all share these thoughts, I want to make sure that the public hears that we're not just sitting idly by
Sure.
and just
Yeah.
replacing the swing for a swing, that we want to do big things with these parks and make them, a showcase of our tremendous park system.
Yeah. Oh, well said. Anything else on?
The only other thing along those same lines, the master planning process is still
Yep.
ongoing. We're going to drill down further, having additional focus group meetings. Legacy Sports Group has come on as an additional consultant to help really drill down into the sports side of what's needed for football, baseball, soccer, those kind of things. So that's going to be, those meetings will be taking place later this month, and then we'll continue to work with the consultant. We actually have a draft review meeting tomorrow for
Yeah.
the first draft.
We're going to invite for the 22nd on another one coming up.
Yeah,
so-
that's the big one with
Yeah.
Legacy Sports Group and more of our focus groups.
Okay. Hurlinger update?
Yeah, so Hurlinger, we just need to really try to get the word out that Hurlinger is by no means done or completely finished. We have had some complaints recently, especially through social media, that there's no connection from parking areas, talking about ADA
Yeah,
compliance, right? No connection from parking areas to the playground or to the shelter. That's by design, because once the parking lot gets put in, and it's gonna be, the whole Hurlinger Way will be widened, that parking area will be expanded along Hurlinger Way, then the connecting walk will be put in. It'll be fully ADA accessible, concrete sidewalk from the parking lot. There's a little opening in the fencing. The fencing's installed, but we've left an opening right at the shelter. The fencing the walkway will go right through that opening in the fence to the shelter, and then kind of make a rounded curve toward the playground and end right at the ADA ramp that goes into the playground area. So just want to put everybody's minds at ease that we're not finished with that. That will be taking place once the parking area is expanded. Pickleball courts, the net posts have been installed, waiting on the painting contractor to get here, and the fencing has been ordered. So all that work is still planned to take place and wrap up before we get to the end of the season here, to where we get into some bad weather, colder weather, especially the painting part. Fencing can take place through the winter if we had to. We've got to get the painting done
Okay.
pretty quickly. So all that's in the works.
Anything else for Mr. Drake? Mr. Seiler is next. He's not here right now. He did submit his report. The latest item on there is the Adult Hockey League began this month, and the session is at capacity. And then he added a concert for January 9th. Looks like an ACD tribute band and Black Sabbath tribute band for January 9th got added onto that. Then their fall ice program began, part of hockey, with 139 hockey participants registered on that one. Next up, Mr. Boer. Mr. Boer, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Nothing too crazy to add to the report. Just obviously we're starting to get into our shoulder season. That will begin on October 16th. Had a rainy day today, so we're able to get the simulators kind of up and running, testing those out, making sure that everything works properly. Everything looks good to go there. So usually we kind of start up with those more towards November, but obviously October, you have some usage perhaps as we get into some rainier days or things like that. So I want to make sure that we're prepared on that end. Other than that.
When the simulator season starts, is the restaurant open still?
Yes.
The staff during those hours?
Yep. Yeah. So we still have one full-time staff, and we'll use part-time staff as needed, but for the most part, we'll use our one full-time staff member as we get into the winter season months. So there are, days where, and usually we'll move, once we get full-time into the off-season, we'll usually move the shop operations over to that area as well. So it's kind of a team effort in that regard between the remaining full-time staff members.
I saw the note, and it's kind of well known that the 6 screens close.
Mhm.
So your intent is to close it for the remainder of the year, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think, and I know this is kind of an influx conversation right now, but do you think, a practice every year, or is that?
No,
hey,
it
we're
would
gonna
not be
do
a
this?
practice every year. That is specific to this year, something that we've never done before, but specific to the condition of that green and what our superintendent feels is needed to get it back to where we wouldn't have to do that again.
Yeah, because we've closed parts of that green before, we've just never.
Sure,
the whole
sure.
thing.
Yep, and again, we've only done that post-aerification as we get into the off-season, but it did need time to heal properly, for grass to establish. That would be the concern. The concern would be that if you did not or allowed people to play on it extensively during this time, that you would simply be in the same situation next year, right? And the grass would not take properly,
Yeah.
and you would be fighting an uphill battle with that green. So the goal is to take a short-term step back here in the off season, not allow play on it, and then be ready to go by next season.
Okay. And then we have the discussion of the course rates here in a second. So
Mhm.
Anything else for Mr. Brewer?
Thank you.
Okay. Nothing from the Planning Commission. That moves us over to new business, which is the discussion of the proposed winter season green fees and cart pricing. You want to walk us through that?
Yeah, and I did, prior to the meeting, just to hand out the previous year's rates, as I had forgotten to include those. So, yeah, this is, I think, our third season of being year-round, and at least our second, if not third season of having 3 different rate structures. So this rate structure encompasses from December 1st through February 28th, or what we would call our winter season. Some minor modifications to it, and mostly just to be in accordance, with what we've done already for 2025, with the regular season and the shoulder season.
Yeah.
So some minor increases, and just kind of simplifying the rate schedule as well, removing some weekend specials and things like that. But basically, yeah, just bringing it in accordance with what we have already done in 2025.
So let me play devil's advocate here. We're going to raise rates, and granted, it's $1 on a couple of things, and we're missing a hole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does that make sense or not? I don't know.
I haven't had any pushback in that regard. I mean, I
Okay.
think in those terms, our rates are very fair, and if not, most of the time underneath of a lot of other area courses. So I don't think that's of a concern, and if it
Okay.
is, we can address that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions about the rates? And when you do this, you usually kind of figure out what everybody else is doing right and how we compare.
Yeah, the winter season is a bit different in the sense that there's really not many points of comparison when it comes to that. So that's another reason too that I would be a little less concerned, is that we're actually one of the few courses that maintains being open on a year-round basis.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on that? So this is a motion and approval for the raise of rates. Abby, is what we need here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So moved. I'll second.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, rates approved. All right, moving on to our other business, we have a note of a receipt here from the William H. Mayer Successor Trust in the amount of $1,616.10. So we want to acknowledge that and thank them for that. And then before we close out, is there anything else to come before the park board? I see we have a friendly face in the audience there. Mr. Hinkleman, come up and give your address.
Paul Hinkman, I live at 920 Hickory Lane in Troy. I'm representing the Miami County Pickleball Association. First of all, as always, I always like to start with a thank you for all that you've done and for all the opportunities we have for pickleball in Troy. This year was a banner year of numbers of people, especially in the evening. So we're excited with that, and now we're worried about is what we do in the winter, where we stuff all those people. The Ys didn't grow at all. Around us, our communities around us have expanded their facilities in a big way. And so one of the things that we push for, more courts, we won't say anymore, because until we see how that all pans out. Tip City added 8 courts 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow night is grand opening for Piqua for 8 courts. So I think we're, as a general direction, we're fine for outdoor courts in the near future, but we'll see how the growth continues to go. I did come in with a question about Harlinger Park, just seeing that there hadn't been any progress as to a week or so ago. And if you're interested in an opinion, we would recommend that you do not continue the activities this fall because the season is almost done. We expect another week or two of playing, and then we'll be indoors. And on painted surfaces, the leaves and all that rotting on them is probably not great. Be better, fresher in the spring in terms of damage and vandalism, not putting up poles and nets, I would think would be a good idea. But, you know, and again, we'd like to see how that comes so that we can help support activities there from a recreational standpoint of offering, you know, neighborhood lessons and those things when it does come online. But the fall is pretty much done. So we're here to discuss budgets. Every year we present our wish lists and talk about the future. We're pleased to be asked to provide input into a focus group for the city parks and that. I would be anxious to hear how the results of that, how that boiled down, and again, how that might impact your budgets and your decision making for the upcoming year. So when that information is available, we'd appreciate seeing how that works.
We've had like a number of focus groups on that, so it's a number of people have expressed what's the timeline, and you know, we keep getting told kind of the end of the year is kind of when that's happening, and that's ultimately to have that, you know, governing directional document for moving forward. But I keep hearing the end of the year is kind of what we're looking at.
So not an impact on next year's budget?
No, I don't think there'd be any immediate decisions from that, so, yeah.
So with your permission, let's
Yeah,
share this
absolutely.
real quick. And I won't
Thank you.
jump on this, 'cause it's not much new.
Thanks.
All right, in general, for next year, we're following up on several things. There's not much new. Point 1, completion of inside fences is a small thing. It's an afternoon job. We requested it this year, didn't get done. Paddle racks we asked for last year were more expensive than anticipated. And I think those are something that probably needs to be budgeted for to do that. And those are an important part of how the flow and the culture of that. And they're expensive, there's no question. But I think it's something that needs to be done, and if it can't be, you know, cashed out, you know, petty cash, then it needs to be a major budget item. So it's, you know, it's $1,000 or more. As always, we ask for new nets, 2 nets every year, and we'll be ready to replace some next year. Just keep it moving. We got 12 courts, and some of those nets are pretty old, and we just need to throw away some of the old ones. Not giving up on the porta potty. We've asked that for several years. We'd like to see compromises if we can't move the one or can't have our own, that some compromises. But we have, and I've asked, and I wish you guys would do it on a busy day, is to see how many people are out there. And in the morning, we have over 50. And in the evenings, I would say probably that much as well. And now the weekends, Saturday mornings and Sundays, are gotten really popular. We got a lot of people every week around, you know, during the summer months, not just during a soccer season, not just during a pee-wee football season, but all the time. So we'd like to see some accommodation. There's a compromise that I've suggested. To somehow give us another porta potty. That'd be great, and make it closer to us. So we'd like consideration for that, if you will, in the future. Item from last year was electric outlets. There's no ability to plug in anything near the courts. So if we want a crock pot or anything, that can't be done. We understand it was a big deal to do that, and it didn't happen even though we did the same work for the AED that got put out there, which we appreciate that. They did trench it, and they did all the things that had to be done to do that, but we didn't get that. So I would like to see that maybe budgeted if it has to be to get power out there, and if not, just an outlet. There's no outlet within any reach. That could be easy. More people are coming in evenings, so they move all the benches, which weigh, almost 100 pounds, I bet, from one side of where the sun is to the other side. We just need some more benches to accommodate people both for the morning and the evenings. We'd like to see shade structures. We've talked about that in the past. It gets hot there, and our use goes down as the day goes on because of heat in the summer. So if people can get out of the sun for a while when they're not playing, we think the usage of the courts would go up, and it'd be worthwhile venture. So we'd like to see some consideration for that. One of the things we're seeing in communities like ours and other places is to put a live camera on it. I think there's some safety, some security, and some, I don't want to say marketing, but be able to go on and say, hey, there's a crowd out there today. That's either a good time or not good time. And also for the safety of vandalism and other things. We think that that's a good, wise idea for communities all around us. And our neighboring communities are considering those same kind of things. I mentioned the Hillinger Park. We'd like to see that finished and like to be part of that to help integrate it into the community by offering lessons and activities. And not least, lights. Every year we come back saying we'd like to have lights, and every year it doesn't happen. We'd like to see some movement to find out what it's going to take to do that. We would increase usage by going, another hour into the evenings in the summer, more so now than ever. This summer was packed in the evenings. Can't get on the court. So we think that's a good benefit, and better benefit than the Pee Wee people who use them a couple of weeks a month. The Pee Wee football fields have lights. Everyone else has lights. Pickleball does not have lights. We'd like to see what it would take to do that, and think that'd be a strong consideration. And this is the third time we're back to you, and we'll keep coming back until we see lights up there sometime.
I get it.
Yeah, anyway. And in the future, again, we took off any growth opportunities, see how it all pans out. Still growing sport. We as a membership of an organization now have 380 people actively signed up as active players in our community, and that's a lot.
Great.
And in a given day, I bet we have over 100 out there all summer long, every day, from March to October. So good thing. So in the future, the only thing we can think of is we're going to need windscreens, new windscreens in the future. These are going to be up all winter, and they're pretty old already, so we need to replace them in the future, and it'd be nice to have them nice, complementary to Troy in terms of colors, logo, those kinds of things to help market, what we've got and how good it is. So with that, again, we appreciate the support. It's going well. Sport continues to grow, and it wouldn't happen without the support of the city. So
I always appreciate the organization of how this is presented, so thank you very much.
well, I don't want to ever said, oh, gee, we forgot that. So we can always come back and say, here it is. It's your choice and your call.
Sure.
But we'd like to remind you and nudge you in directions to help support us even more.
Hey, Paul, does the Pickleball Association do any fundraising on its own for?
We do not have a bank account. We are a member. We are a sub-function of the Troy Foundation, so we're a nonprofit. We can do that. We have done fundraising in the past. Some of the activities we put in for resurfacing and I believe for lights, and the foundations, one of the strong feelings was, those are city functions, and I don't think they don't feel comfortable replacing big things for the city sometimes.
And I just look at this from the perspective of, you know, we've had the softball parents and baseball parents do fundraising for their facilities and
Right.
things. You say you got 400 people approximately.
Right.
$5 a head, that covers all of your paddle racks
And we can do that.
for the year. And so, I mean, some of these, obviously, I think lights, electrical, infrastructure things are certainly,
yeah.
the city's gonna have to decide if it wants to put lights up or run power, and obviously, I understand those, but for some of these, well, not a porta potty's a city thing, but for like the paddle racks and
We have
things.
done that.
It seems like you guys could fundraise for them and ask us to, gift them to the courts to put them on.
Right. Well, they become part of infrastructure, which is one thing. And we have built that. We're getting, you know, it's challenging to get the volunteers to do the work, but we do it and we get it done. We built the current benches. The Acorn Society way back provided the windscreens. The backboard that we put up this year, there's a practice backboard, was a grant from the Miami County Foundation. And the fences down the middle were a grant from the Troy Foundation where we fundraise and apply for grants. We can do more of that. We do not charge anybody for anything, and we're trying to stay out of having money associated with this at all. If we have to, we do, and that got into the advertising things we'd want to do for fundraising, that would say, can we put banners up on the courts, you know, advertising my business? And you guys have been through that. And I guess there's opportunities there, but with the right challenge, we could do that. Sometimes we don't feel good about, you know, it benefits us, no question, but we also feel it benefits the city. So we'll do that if there's compromises there, and if we have a discussion, that's something we'll consider.
I'd encourage you to
Okay?
talk to your membership about that.
All right. Okay?
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Anything else to come before the park board? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Here a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.